So here's the Marine transmission from a distance. Overall length is approximately 22.5 inches, and the diameter of this assembly, this thing here, is 8 inches, and it is 3.5 inches thick, and it's still fully functional. Greasy, of course, which is kind of a blessing because it's really not rusty at all. The bore of this whole the shaft is 15/16 or 7/8 or 15/16, yeah, 7/8 rather. And this stub here is 5.25 inches. Well, let me get that more accurately. It is 5 inches exactly. And this part in here, this center section, the brass colored, is actually a keeper for a ball bearing. So that's the thrust. Well, let me see if I can show you that. Move it. I'll have to stop the camera and get it rigged up. But you can see in here, yeah, before I do that, this assembly here is the reverse gear, and you can see there's a little wedge-shaped piece, and as I move this control rod, you can see that it moves the wedge-shaped piece. This then bears down and closes this ring, which grabs this part of the gear assembly. There, I've locked it in reverse, and so you can now see that I'm turning this. This part is not turning, so I'm turning this, and I don't know if you can see that. See if I can get a shot here where you can see that my hand is turning in one direction, but the whole assembly is turning in the other. That's reverse. And then when I move it to the forward position, the whole thing turns. This whole assembly turns. So it's all locked together, and that gives you the forward direction. So when it's going forward, this whole thing is turning. This whole 8-inch diameter thing. So let me see if I can get that thrust bearing. So here we're back at the transmission, and I slid it back a bit. This first part is one of the bearing races, and then if I slide this over, I don't know if you can see down in there, if it's clear enough, there's a set of balls. So there's a ball bearing, and then this race here is the other. So that takes the thrust of the propeller and transfers it to this housing, which is bolted to the frame of the boat. So this whole assembly takes none of the thrust. It's all taken by this great big honking piece of cast iron. So it's pretty good. What else can I say about this? Well, as I said, overall length 22.5 inches, 8-inch diameter. Weight is about 50 pounds, 50 to 60 pounds. This front hub is keyed. You can see there's a key right there. Let's see, maybe I can. No easy way to show this, but there. You can see the key right there, and there's the name of the manufacturer. Some people pronounce it Geis, the others Geis. So either way, it's, and this is the original greaser for that bearing. So there you have it. Just one other thought here. The engagement, this tapered assembly here, that taper is, first of all, that this thing is now, it moves back and forth. It's now in the neutral position. So right now, when I spin the whole thing is, because there's no load on it, I guess, it's wobbling, but as I said, to get it in reverse, you pull it back, and this whole ring over here, that gets squashed, by a very minute amount, and it seizes on that. And then when you're going forward, you can see that that tapered part rides on these two arms that expand the internal against the internal ring, and that locks everything together so that you get the whole thing spinning, and then the thrust is taken by the thrust bearing here. This hub in the back here, there's plenty of meat. This thing is about 1 3/4 inches, almost 2 inches in diameter, so you could bore that out to 1 inch if you needed to. And because you've got the two races, there's the forward race, the balls, and then the rear race, you've got that. You can presumably change all of that if you need to. This bearing it seems to be in fairly good shape as well. A little bit greasy and oily, but as I said, that's kind of good because it stops any of the rust and corrosion. And then just as a afterthought, here's a short piece on the boat that I'm currently working on. All the drive system, the engine, everything, all that is installed. It's now in the shop to get the floor, the seats, and the decking put in. So, and that's a 2-cylinder St. Lawrence, about 5 horsepower. Drives the thing at about 6-7 miles an hour very nicely. Has a really nice shape. And I guess I should show you the stern of it. Kind of cramped in the shop here, but that's you can see the prop down there. Nice sweeping fantail. That's a 13-inch by 13 by 13 propeller, and the engine will drive the boat at about 700 RPM. That's about the limit of what that engine will do for that prop. So I've been working on this for a while, like over 15 years. Anyway, so there you go.